But that's one of the beauties of being in the trades, though. It's a demand. It's something people need and can't live without. So, I mean, if things had blown up on me or us, I could have just went back to what I was doing. I'd just be a tradesman again. That's the great thing about it is, being a tradesperson, I had a really good fallback position. I was going to land on my feet no matter what.
Hola, what is up, everybody? Welcome back to the Reliable HVACR podcast. If you guys are listening on the audio version, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever, remember to leave a review, help the show get out to more people. If you're watching this on YouTube, make sure to check out the live chat, like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. I really appreciate everybody for tuning in wherever you listen to this. And if you guys support the Reliable HVACR channel, remember I'm also on HVAC Nights, available on YouTube and any podcast platform. The full episodes and then clips are uploaded to our Instagram and TikTok. It's a live show every Thursday with two other guys. I got Jake, Cooling with Kraus. I got Curtis, the HVAC guy, two other big YouTubers, and we just kick back and take questions from the live chat, have some fun, joke around, and actually talk about our work week experiences that we've had with tools and different job sites. It's a great time. If you want to go check that out, remember to check out HVAC Nights. And I also want to thank a couple of the sponsors that make this show possible, like Jobber, my favorite CRM. If you guys need to get organized, better manage your business, Jobber is a perfect app for that. It's on your phone, it's on your tablet, it's on your computer, anywhere you have internet access, and you can invoice, quote, do your maintenance agreements, schedule jobs, get this customer hub where you can interact with your customers, send out reminders. It does so much for your business to help you free up your time at the end of the day. So if you guys want a free trial and discount, you can go to getjobber.com/reliable HVACR. Then we have VETO Pro Pack. I cannot tell you how many bags that I went through before finding out about this company with these high quality bags. Ever since I switched over, my bags have lasted so much more. I love the variety and the different uses for these bags. I mean, you can get creative with it. So like I said, go check out VETOPropack.com. Go look for a bag for yourself. Right now they're having a spring promo. It's basically buy one, get one free. So take advantage of that. You won't regret it. So thanks again to our awesome sponsors. Thanks again to everybody watching, listening. We have good conversations with good people. That's the whole premise here. And I really enjoy what I do, having these people come on and tell their stories. I hope you guys are enjoying them as well. And thank you again for making this what it is. On this episode, we have two special guests, a father and daughter duo behind FastStat. So Nordic Technology is the company they run, and their main product here is FastStat, the HVAC wiring extender. So this one in particular, I'll let him explain, but the fancy new thermostats that you guys, put in and, I don't have a common. They have a common maker. You can take a look at the wiring diagram right there. So basically you're going to be adding extra wires without having to run any extra or replace the wiring. So this works on anything that has existing 2-wire thermostat cable, which I actually looked up videos and I found a perfect example of that in a condo where somebody was trying to hook up it was an Ecobee thermostat. So it's not as uncommon now to find ways to power your thermostat, but a lot of times, especially retrofitting stuff, you don't always have the common. Or in my case, like I said, that's the common maker. In my case, I need to add an extra wire for 2-stage cooling, something like that. I'm always having to steal a wire from the heating, the W, things like that. When I could just install one of these, I did not know that they had so many models. So in that instance, I do usually have to rerun the whole wiring through drop ceilings, and it can be a pain. So they have where they can add control wires with their model 1000 to any thermostat if you need that W1 and 2, right? So they have that one. They have another one that adds 2 controls if you need that. And then they also get into another one. This one does both. It does the common and a 3 control wire added to it. And I think all of these over here, the minimum is a 2-wire cable. And then all of the magic happens with the sender and receiver, and you get an abundance of extra wires depending on what model you pick up. So these things are really cool. And another big market for them is their higher end stuff, where you have basically a heat pump kit. So I haven't dove into that too much, but apparently if you run into an issue trying to put in a heat pump and retrofit it, there's kits for that too. A lot of the basic ones that I would probably get is like the common maker. When I'm trying to power a thermostat that does not have common, I run into a lot of issue where batteries die and then the customer's calling and I'm trying to run so many calls a day and I hate going off for a battery. It's still a service call. We still charge for it, but it's an annoyance when you have like a lot of big ticket items and you lose half a day or whatever it is. Cause I drive, pretty long distance to these customers. I lose half a day because of batteries. Right. So if you can't run wire, I work in restaurants. So a lot of times if they're making food or prepping food or they have the cooler, prep cooler open, the last thing I want to do is contaminate the food with all the insulation or dust or bugs or whatever is in their drop ceiling. So a common maker can give you a common to power a thermostat that either runs off batteries or is a Wi-Fi thermostat or any of these new fancy ones. I run into a lot of those too. Or if I need to add a wire, because everybody here loves to install just the cheapest thermostat ever, and I try and go and replace it only to find out that there's not enough wires in the cable that they ran. So the Y1 and Y2 are always jumped. So like I showed, each one has already the diagram on the outside. If you guys want to check that out when you're in the store looking at them, they are available at most supply houses. I saw a ridiculous amount of availability on their website that they have it already. They're already like set up in supply houses. They also give you a nice wiring or easy to read wiring diagram for many different situations and instances, depending on what you're going to use it for, and the multiple ways that you could use it for, which is just adding a common, upgrading to a 2-stage air conditioner, upgrading from a single stage condenser to a single stage heat pump, all of that, repairing a broken wire. I forgot to mention that. Repairing a broken wire is another thing. I'm always stealing wires to get their cooling going. And if I don't have the time to run it, I can use one of these. And like I said, the ones that I would use are on the lower end, and those are going to be in the $30 range, not a lot. And this is your receiver. They're all going to look similar, just different number of wires that you have. So this receiver plugs into the furnace where you have the transformer and everything. You're going to be powering this up with that transformer, and then you're going to wire in what you need to based on the schematic. There is one wire that you're going to end up using to run it to the sender, which is the one that goes in the thermostat, and you're going to hide this in the wall. Pretty sleek. You just throw it in the back in the hole, and it stays in your wall. And then you're going to wire up what you need to. That one goes to the receiver direct, and then the other two go to whatever you need it to. Like I said, there's a lot of options for that. So do with it what you may. And I just think it's a really cool option. It would have saved me a lot of time, especially when the customer does not want to allow me to rerun wired, waste another hour or so trying to do that. So I'm going to let them do the talking, let them explain, how they got into this business. It's a family business. I love supporting family and local businesses. So I'll let them explain that. All the different models he'll go over. Ashton is a daughter who does a lot of their promoting, and she reached out to me. They're sponsoring the podcast now. I really appreciate that. And I think these are really cool products. And like I said, even at the base models, those are really good to have on you, just in case you need to get a customer by. You can't run wire because it's not accessible, or it's a lot more work for you and you want to get in and out, things like that. Check out FastStat and all their models. I'll leave all of their information in the description, and enjoy the episode. All right. How are you guys doing today?
Good.
Good. How are you doing?
I just got out of work. I think I emailed you that I had an easy day today, and that just did not work out. It's getting hot here. So as you guys know, the air conditioning, that's just a busy season coming up. So it's already getting warm out, and the calls are coming in.
Yeah,
absolutely. No, it feels like spring for us too. We're in Western Canada, so we're always a little bit behind some other states, but it definitely was sunny with a little bit of rain. So never a bad thing.
Are you guys based out of Canada then?
We are, yeah. So we're actually located in BC, about 3 hours from Vancouver, a little bit more inland, so drier, definitely hotter. And sometimes we share some smoke and fires from kind of the West Coast and those things. So it can get quite hot here, actually, maybe unexpectedly hot for some.
I didn't even look that up about you guys, because I know a lot of companies, even some that I work with, like Jobber, they're based out of Canada as well. And I know a lot of technicians up there now just doing the whole social media and getting to know a lot of these techs online. So that's really cool. I didn't know that. Have you guys ever done a podcast before we start?
No, I haven't.
First one?
No.
Okay. Well, I'm excited to talk about what you all have going on, and the company that you guys started. So can you guys just give a quick introduction to yourselves, what you do, and the company that you guys have there?
My name's Ken Wiklund. I'm the president of Nordic Technology, and the founder as well, and the person who originally came up with the idea to have these wiring extenders.
And I'm Ashton. I'm the product marketing manager. So basically my role is to facilitate conversations like this, get to know, the community of the HVAC world, and learn a little bit more about what's going on. So my background's a little bit more tech-based, working with companies like Whataburger and Discovery Channel and DoorDash. And so it's been really nice to kind of see what's going on in this space. Ken and I are actually related. He's my dad. So this is kind of a family-run business. I grew up actually building the FastStat products. So populating circuit boards, stripping wires, soldering, all those fun things. So really got to know the business from the ground up there, and then have now back into this role.
So you were hands-on as well when it started?
Absolutely. So this brings us back. This is probably like 2007, 2008. So we've been in business for actually 18 years. It did start up as a family-run business, and I'll let Ken kind of speak to the why. But it was really neat to actually be able to build out these units, obviously expand the product line. But it really did start, as a family-run idea, and us truly building out the orders and shipping them, and expanding the reach of the product.
Funny enough, I was trying to count the years in my head, because I've been doing this about 17 years. That's when we started as well, because my dad started our business back in 2007. So I came on board as somebody that helped him with branding and doing like business cards and advertising, stuff like that, because I was just good with computers, and he's not familiar with that. But he knows how to work, he knows how to network in person with people and all that. So I helped him out with that, and then I came on board later as doing the HVAC stuff. And, I love seeing family businesses and smaller businesses that grow and become successful. So, Ken, if you can just, explain to us what FastStat is.
Right.
Is that your main thing? Because like Nordic Technology, and then I saw
Yeah.
FastStat.
So FastStat is the major product of Nordic Technology. And so, yeah, so what FastStat is, they're wiring extenders. I mean, there's a more complicated name, which is multiplexer, but the more easier to understand term would just be wiring extenders. So the whole idea is if you go into a building and you've got a 2-wire cable or you have a 4-wire cable and you just need more wires for whatever you're doing, you're, I don't know, adding an air conditioner to a heat only system, you're going from an air conditioner to a heat pump, you're going to put a Wi-Fi stat in somewhere. These are all cases where you'll often need more wiring than what you have in the wall. So your choice is either fish a new cable through, which, is what happens a lot, or what we came up with was the idea that, well, the cable's already run from one point to the other, why don't we electronically make more wires? So we don't have to pull out the cable. The cable's there, the cable works. There just isn't enough wires. So what we did is we came up with a way to electronically add wires to the system. So the thermostat, for instance, if it's a 4-wire thermostat or a 6-wire thermostat, it can be running on as little as 2 wires, but it thinks it's 6 wires. So as far as the thermostat's concerned, there's 6 wires there. At the other end, at the indoor unit, for instance, there's a receiver where it takes that 2 wires and splits it back out again into 6 wires again. So again, as far as the furnace or the outdoor unit or whatever is concerned, there's also 6 wires, but really they're communicating back and forth just over that existing cable that you already had there. So obviously it saves you a lot of time.
Yeah, is that just like internally? Because I researched a little bit, and I actually saw people that have that issue where I literally found a video that has 2 wires because, and they're in their instance, they were like in a condo, so they weren't going to fish wire through that. They had to go and find their own system in a line of HVAC units, and then just kind of install their own FastStat on it. And they had a 2-wire system, and I was pretty amazed that they could get a comment out there to do the fancy I think it was an Ecobee thermostat, because that's another thing, and we'll go over the models and stuff like that, because you can essentially, like you said, add wires to it, but also get that fancy Wi-Fi thermostat or whatever it is and upgrade your system without going through the walls and trying to figure out where the line runs and everything.
Right. So if you want to talk about Ecobee, which we are a recommended supplier for Ecobee.
Oh, okay.
So that if you call tech support and say you're trying to get an Ecobee going on a 2-wire cable, so say you have a hot water heater or something like that, and you want an Ecobee, it's not going to run on a 2-wire cable, but it will if you use one of our product models called the Common Maker.
This podcast is presented by Local. Local works tirelessly to help HVAC contractors rank higher on Google. They use an attack methodology to make sure that contractors dominate their local service areas and increase their market share and generate higher revenue. Reach out to Local at localhq.com/reliable. Mention me or the Reliable HVACR podcast, and you'll get 2 months of SEO for free. Do you guys know who the inventors of the fluorescent leak detection is? Trusted and used by many manufacturers for over 70 years. SPECTROLINE leak detection, the highest quality and brightest fluorescent leak detection products on the market. Get the job done right with their 2-in-1 premium UV dye and powerful AC sealant Glow Seal. I've actually used it. You can extend the lifespan of your equipment, find and seal the smallest and hardest to find leaks. It works 24/7. Once it's in, it's always on. This product works when you're not there. The only focused leak detection company with success in many industries, because believe it or not, it's in most vehicles out on the road right now. So if you guys want to find out more, go to spectroline.com and let me know what your favorite leak detection method is.
So the Common Maker is unique because it's just for Wi-Fi stats. So that's the only time you're going to buy one. You want to put a Wi-Fi stat in somewhere. And So that what this does with this fused 2 wires, so you had R and W before, but now you need a common to drive the stat, because the thermostat needs a lot. Wi-Fi stats go through a lot of power because they're always pinging the network all the time.
Yeah.
But you need constant power supply for that. So what the common maker does is just takes a 2-wire cable, which had R and W before, gives you a C over that same system, and now you're done. And plus, what it has at the receiver end, it has both dry contact switching and it has 24-volt switching. So if you want to jump into a zoned hot water heating system that you'll see a lot in the Northeast, for instance, where they like their hot water, there's a lot of systems where you need dry contact switching, and so this will give you that as well. So the common maker, not only does it get the thermostat running on just 2 wires, but it also interfaces the thermostat to any kind of system. Like you're only limited by your technical skill. Like there's no system that you can't make it run on or with.
Okay.
And we used to sell a lot of them for the Nest thermostat as well too, because the Nest thermostat has a battery. So what it does, it power steals in standby mode, and then if you have a really long heating cycle, like you'll get with hot water heating systems, is you would get the thermostat going to standby mode on you while it had to recharge its battery. And so we sold a lot of common makers for Nest thermostats. Now, truthfully, Nest did come out with their own system much later, but we still sell a lot of our product for the Nest application as well. But Ecobee and Nest and everybody else, for that matter, is a good customer for the common maker. So that's the Wi-Fi thermostat side of it.
Yeah, and I've seen that. Well, like more so like in the past when they were like newer, like the new Wi-Fi thermostats when they were coming out and stuff. Nobody had that extra wire that they needed, and I've run into that on the commercial side too, which it would have been helpful. I didn't even think to look up something like this, honestly, because it would have been helpful a couple of times. I mostly do a commercial, so I'm like going into like drop ceilings. There was one instance that comes to mind because I had to go over because it was a kitchen AC that was acting up. The main issue I have is like when I'm moving those ceilings over, like dust, dirt, insulation comes down, and then I'm trying to fish out wire. Like I don't want to disrupt or get anything in the food that they're making. Right. So in that instance, I had to come back early in the morning, stuff like that. So like at that point, I just needed one more wire. I could have used something like a fast stat, been in and out and then make my job easier. So I can see instances even on the commercial side where that's helpful.
It does help too. So in what you were talking about right there, so that would have been a case for the Model 1000, which is our most basic product. So you think of it as a 2-into-1 converter. So if you had a 4-wire cable and you needed 5, you just pick one of the 4 wires that you have, and you just have 2 functions share that 1 wire. So you could put Y1 and Y2 down 1 wire. You could make W and Y share a wire. You could make G and Y share a wire. Any 2 functions can share a wire. And it's easy peasy. It's cheap. It's reliable. They never break down. They don't cost a lot. They're universal. And it gets you out of a lot of situations very, very quickly. It's cheaper than running the wire.
Oh, it's cheaper. It's easier. I had a video of me having to rerun the wire because they pierced through the duct and they ran it through some beams. Like it wasn't as simple as just like pulling out the wire. Like I had to get up there in the drop ceiling and kind of make the hole bigger and give myself more access to actually get that wire out.
Yeah. And
then let alone to put the new wire in. So I've been in that instance because everybody knows like when you have your thermostat wire, you either need to add another one to add, because in my case around here, like we have a lot of 2-stage HVAC systems, right? And there's not that extra wire for that Y2. So what everybody does here is they jump it out at the board, and it frustrates me because like that's not the way it's supposed to be wired up, and they have issues later down the line, stuff like that. So I always recommend running wire, or the wire that I have, because I always carry at least a 7 cable wire, and I gotta tell the customer, you know, you got to let me rerun that wire, right? And a lot of them are like, well, it's working, we're not going to deal with it.
Mm-hmm.
But something a little bit simpler where I can go in there with a fast stat and just add it, or I have a wire that breaks, and what I end up doing is I end up stealing the one from the heater or something like that, just to get them by during the summer. But I tell them we need to come back and change out the cable, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there's instances where you could lose wires too, and I have to borrow the next one or borrow off the heater or something like that, because we deal with a lot of cooling here. It's hot. I'm in Texas. It's hot all year round, and we have to deal with that too. But yeah, is the common maker the one that started it, or?
No, actually, it was a Model 3000. So the Model 3000 was the roots of it were, is I came from the electrical side, but I was an HVAC wiring electrician, where I did tons. As one point in my life, I worked for Johnson Controls as a commercial wiring guy. And then, of course, in the years past, I think they've got rid of all their own guys and they outsource everything now. But back in the day, they used to do a lot of their own wiring, and that's kind of where I got my knowledge of HVAC systems. And I also had training on industrial electronics. So taking those things together, and then when I started my own business and I was going to work for HVAC contractors doing the wiring for them on these upgrades, and I was just thinking, I'm spending so much time and effort pulling cables in, like, why should I do this? There's got to be a way. So then I teamed up with an electronics engineering company. We came up with our first product, which was the 3000. And its purpose was, you have a heat only system, you got a 2-wire thermostat cable, you need 4 wires to get your air conditioner going. So the Model 3000 was designed for that. And we sold tons and tons, and we still sell tons of them to this day for that specific application, because there's still a lot of areas throughout, the US and Canada where, people want air conditioners, but they don't necessarily put them in right away or whatever. And every year that somebody says, well, this is the year I'm going to get air conditioning. And so for those applications, we still sell a lot of the Model 3000. So that's where it all started from, was the 3000. And then from there, we kind of went, I think we went to the Model 1000. So we actually simplified the product to make it simpler. And then we went to this Model 5000, which is the same as a 3, but now it had the common connection for powered thermostats. Plus it had a 2-stage heating capability in it and stuff like that. And then the products after that were the 7000, the 9000, and those are the air conditioner to heat pump conversion kits. So that is a product that's actually, more popular. And well, the further south you go and the more air conditioning based you are, then, you're running your air conditioner all the time. They conk out, I don't know how many years you get out of them, but not that many. It seems like less all the time. So what happens is someone's air conditioner conks out, and the guy says, hey, why don't you, you got a dead air conditioner, why don't you put a heat pump in? Put a high efficiency multi-stage heat pump in here.
Yeah, that's what we're trying to do here too, because I still have an R22. I don't know what year it is, but it's old. And I'm like it's giving us problems here and there. And like, I'm looking into the heat pumps, the inverter, like something high efficient. And like you said, you when you run into that, there's extra wires you got to run and stuff like that.
So what we have too, so the Model 7000, 9000 are just for air conditioner to heat pump. So if you're not doing that, if you're not upgrading to a heat pump from an air conditioner, you wouldn't buy these products. They don't really have any other purpose. But when you're doing that, it makes life a lot easier, because the Model 7000 is a 3-part kit. So you have a sender that goes at the thermostat, you have an indoor module for obviously your indoor unit, and then you have a heat pump module. So there's 3 kits. And what it does is it gives you all the extra wires between all those points. And then the 9000 is actually half of a 7000 in a sense, because it just gives you your indoor to outdoor wires. So those are cases where contractors came to us and said, look, I can get enough wires from the thermostat to the indoor unit. I got that covered. I just have a problem going outside. Okay. So then we said, fine, we'll just modify the kit so you just have the indoor module to outdoor module part of it, which is the 9,000. It's less money too because it's less parts and so on. But we sell a lot of that as well too. So they get used a lot in single family homes. They get used a lot in condo projects and stuff where they're doing hundreds of units at a time, and it's faster, easier way to do it.
Yeah, because I see plenty of commercial places like strip malls and stuff like that. You got a ton of units up there, and I have to chase down a lot of these wires and figure out what's good, what's bad, and what needs to be changed out. So you guys did you guys make your own? Like Ashton, you mentioned something about soldering and all that. Were you guys in the process of like actually building them out, or at least your first ones?
Absolutely. So I think it was definitely a homegrown kind of a feel where we started out, and just building them like kind of in-house. And then obviously we've done, a fair bit of expansion since then. So now we outsource a little bit more. We still have a really great team that works with us under one roof. So they're still populating things. It really allows us to stay really close to the testing side. So every single unit that goes out gets tested first to make sure that we have the quality that we want, the reliability that we want before it heads out to anyone in the field. So that's something that's been really important to us. And we've definitely streamlined things. I'm not soldering everything the way that I used to be however many years ago, but we want to keep that quality really close to home. So we've been able to scale, but keep the quality at the heart of what we do too.
So a lot of it's still in-house. You guys are still going through testing and kind of overseeing everything before it gets out to the contractor.
Yeah, and we were their tech support too. So we actually have a tech support line that people can call if they have any questions. And so we get really close to that. So we're just kind of saying like, what are people asking for? What do they have questions about? What can we share with them that makes their install easier? Whether it's an instruction manual, we have all that available on our website, different wiring diagrams, different things to really make it easy. It is a product that is intended for contractor use. It's not necessarily, homeowners, but there's like the common maker might be an exception where people can really easily do that themselves, but it's for the contractors in the field. So we do have a support system there that we work closely with so that we do have that really great feedback loop. So we stay close to that part too.
Was there a lot of, or were there other competitors doing this when you started it?
Not when I started. I mean, we're getting more competition now because with communicating systems, a lot of that, pretty much everybody has at the top end of their product line, they'll have a communicating system. And that's fine. Like we don't necessarily compete with it just because most of the communicating systems require their thermostat, their indoor unit, and their outdoor unit. So you got to put all three pieces in, and not everybody who has a dead air conditioner wants a whole new line of stuff, And then the other thing that happens too is that everybody's gone down their own path with communicating. So a Lennox isn't going to talk to a carrier and so on and so on. So once if you've got a carrier system or whatever, you have to stick with their product. Whereas our stuff is designed to be like universal. And so it works with any brand of indoor, outdoor modules, thermostats, whatever. So it's, universal and low cost and easy to use. That's our thing. So, but there is competition, absolutely. I mean, there is, like I say, but it's mostly coming from the manufacturers themselves at the top end on their communicating systems.
Yeah, so there was nothing really like out there when you started it. I mean, that's why you started it, right?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. I mean, there was a product called the Adawire, which is equal to our model 1000, which is
okay.
we talked about before. So that's been around for a while too. And carriers sold it. Yeah, I mean, they've sold it themselves. Carrier sells our products as well. But yeah, it hasn't really been. I don't know. I guess it's such a niche market. Like the people who are in the business get it. But if you're not in the business, you wouldn't. It's not one of those things that is obvious.
Yeah. Was it hard to get off the ground when you started it, getting into either supply houses or getting it picked up?
Yeah, well, the interesting thing about supply houses is that if we would talk to somebody who had worked in the field, they would get it right away. And they would just say, oh yeah, I've seen this. I know what this is. I'll buy it because I know my customers are going to want it. The hardest people for us to sell to are the people on the other side of the counter who don't know the business. They go,
Yeah.
well, no one's asked me for it. Well, and
I get so frustrated with that. Yeah.
yeah, so the thing is, and our comeback to that is, well, no one was asking for smartphones 50 years ago either. It doesn't mean we don't find them useful now. It's just you can't ask for something you don't know about, and that's the thing with us. Is like, yeah, we have a simple, easy product, solves a lot of problems, but if you don't know about it, you can't ask for it. And that's the thing with the wholesalers and the suppliers, is that they're waiting for the contractors to ask them for the stuff. Just tell me what you want and I'll get it for you. That's their old line. I'll get it. I'll find
Oh
out.
yeah.
But I mean, but again, going back to what I was saying before, the guys who are on the other side of the counter who have been in the field, and unfortunately there's not that many of them, but those guys get it right away. And they'll show it to you right away and say, hey, I found this product for you. You're going to like it. And that's where we've got a lot of sales. So we are very hot and cold in our sales. So we'll have some areas like where we're just doing very well. And everybody knows about it. And all the wholesalers will sell it. We'll go 2 or 3 states over and nothing, so
Okay.
it's very hot and cold.
Is that what you're tasked with now, Ashton?
I think so. I think the task is really just increasing more brand awareness, especially with the heat pump conversion, the kind of the rebates that are going on right now, the initiative. So that's just this solve that, again, people don't know what they don't know. But when they're in this space of, hey, look, I've got more customers asking for this. They want to know a little bit more about it. We just want to be something that people think of. We're not going to check every box for everyone all the time, and that's absolutely fine. It's just about providing solutions that does give the average person a little bit more time in their day, a little bit more ease, maybe a little bit less laundry to do because they're not covered in dust or whatever it ends up being. So we definitely want to, connect with people in all, different states. Obviously, weather permitting, you have different uses and different needs. But we definitely, want to expand who we're connecting with.
Yeah. And I guess being online, it helps, right? Social media, you can get your name out there because there's a bunch of like me going into a supply house, they have their ways, their brands that they want to like put out in front. I don't know how that works, but they have their brands that they put or they push. And then I got to go in and ask like, no, I saw this that I liked, can you get me this? Can you get me, this cleaner, this part, this product, whatever it is. So I try to do that intentionally when I go, or I'll try and order it myself because everything's like online now. I also want to thank DIVERSITECH. They simplify your work. They have everything a contractor needs to complete a job. That goes from equipment mounting, condensate, management, tools, maintenance chemicals, electrical components, indoor air quality, and much more. If I go look at my van, like half of the stuff, including parts, is from a DIVERSITECH branch. They have different branches under the same umbrella. More than likely you're already using some of their products or tools. So go check out diversitech.com and it's your one-stop shop for everything HVAC. If it works, it works. And something like this, it just does what it, what you need it to do. So I mean, you mentioned it earlier. There's contacts in there. This does not need batteries or anything special hooked up to it, right? You just hook it into the wire and kind of hide it.
Yeah, so it powers itself up off the transformer that's already in the system.
Okay.
Sometimes we'll add a transformer, like if, for instance, you've got a zone hot water system and maybe the person wants to put 6 powered stats up and you've got 6 zone valves and 6 of everything. And then we sometimes will say, we'll put a bigger transformer in because you're putting a lot of load on that one little transformer that's in the zone board, but other than that, it's just, there is no batteries, there's no programming, you don't have to sit there and, go through a whole bunch of menus and then enter. You don't do that. You just hook it up, turn it on, run the stat through its modes, and then jump in the van and go to the next job.
And it's just automatic. I mean, depending on what model you get, as long as you wire it up, I mean, it's going to switch over on its own.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. So it's based on power electronics. So we send different voltages and different frequencies through it. So it's a very robust system. So that's one of the things with HVAC is that reliability is everything. So, and one of the things that we do is sort of to reinforce that is like we do have this lifetime warranty. So we're one of the very few companies will, and we're happy to have a 10-year-old FastStat come back and say for some reason it just quit working, and we give the guy a new one because we're one of the very few people who will swap out a 10-year-old part for a new
Yeah.
one and say sorry, you know. And so for us, like we're trying to build a product that never fails. So but on the flip side of that is we're buying our parts from like resistors and diodes and capacitors and relays and all that stuff. We're buying that from people, and we're trying to take all that stuff and put it together on a circuit board and have it in such a very low stress environment that it never fails. So that doesn't mean that a capacitor that we buy from a manufacturer today that in 20 years may not fail. We can't control that, but everything that we can control, which is making things low stress, low temperature, we do that as much as possible so that we don't want the stuff to ever fail. And that's one of the things, and that's part of our deal is that, you know, you got a lot to prove in this business. People won't use you if you're going to cause trouble. It doesn't
Oh
matter.
yeah.
You're done. You're like, you know,
Yeah.
that's it. So
So
reliability is everything for us.
yeah, so that's a lifetime warranty. Like at any point, if you have an issue with them, they can just send them back to you.
Yeah, exactly. Well, would you just take them back to where you got them? And because
Yeah.
like most of the time you go back on a warranty, it's like, well, show me your original invoice. Well, what makes you think I've got the original invoice from a year or two ago? Nobody does.
Yeah.
So we don't even ask for that. Like we take responsibility for what we've made. So you take our product back, and sometimes guys will take it back to places they didn't even buy it from. And we'll get a call and say, I'm not even sure this guy, wholesalers say, I'm not even sure this guy bought it from us. And we just say, you know what, we made it. If it's not working, just give them another one. You know, like you're not paying for it. We're paying for it. We'll give you a credit note, you know, yet just make the guy happy. And that's what we do.
And you haven't had too many of those, have you?
No, not really. I mean, it's surprisingly few stuff goes. Our failure rate is quite low. Again, we're all about this from a design point of view, trying to build in reliability. So even when you do all of that, even if you've got 99% of your product standing up or 99.5% of your product, you know, if 0.5% fails after 5 years or whatever, that's just, you know, you've done everything you can do. You know, like at that point, things are probably failing because, like I said, a component, or maybe somebody didn't solder something the best they could, or who knows what happened, right? But I mean, we do get, you know, stuff coming back, but it's not putting us out of business. Let's put it that way. So that's, like I said, if you've got a 20-year-old FastStat, we'll give you a new one. If it's failed, we still.
Well, I was going to say, you guys have been in business, I mean, this long. It's been good for you.
Yeah.
You know, reputation wise, all that. I mean, you put it on the line basically by doing the lifetime warranty, because if you stand by your product, you know, it should do well. The contractor will be happy, or it'll be useful for them, and they'll, you know, continue using it, which is the way I do things too, right? Like, I don't care what it is that's in my van. If it doesn't work, I'm tossing it out. So, as far as like I asked you about when you started your business and stuff, was that something you did on this? Like, did you come up with this product on the side while you were doing something else? Like, how did you get it off the ground?
Well, it sort of goes back to, like, I was working in the trade as an electrician, and I was doing all this wiring. So the product got developed while I was an electrical contractor. So that's, you know, and then what happened was, so in the very beginning, you know, I was trying to sell these things and do my electrical contracting business. Then eventually the sales of this product just got more and more and more. And then the contract got to the point where I just said, okay, well, that's, you know, we're just going to jump to this full time now and just shut
Are you
down.
going like to contractors directly or supply houses?
No, we always sold to the supply houses, to HVAC suppliers. Yeah, that's always been our target market. And Yeah, so we've had some customers for a really long time, even Johnstone Supply has probably been selling this product for more than 15 years, and
Okay, well that I go to Johnstone. Is this available at I mean a lot of I know you have it on I think on your website, like your supply houses. And if not, that you can ask for it basically from anyone, right?
well, anybody can order it for you if the guy wants to do the paperwork. Like the guys,
Okay.
like we'll sell it to, any wholesaler who wants to buy it. And it's just
But
a question.
a lot of the major ones can
They
get it.
do. Yeah, that's true. I mean, most of the people out there were already in their system some way or the other. Like I said, we're already like Carrier buys it. Ream's a master distributor for us. So anybody who's a Ream Rudd can get it. We have parts systems there. Um, Ferguson sells them. Anybody that's part of the Watsco group or whatever, we're in that system as well. Um, let's see, there's with the Win Airs, there's a lot of them too out there. So it's basically like we're in a lot of systems, but that doesn't mean that every branch of every one of these knows about us,
Yeah,
but
you got to ask for it. That's what happens with a lot of stuff that I like to get. I have to ask for it because it's and it's a lot of the smaller businesses, because I understand, because I've had a lot of people from other companies come on the show, and it's like trying to get their foot in the door, and everybody's used to buying a certain brand or doing it a certain way. They might not know about wire extenders, stuff like that. I always have to like ask for it, because it's all there's certain things that I like about certain companies and how they do things, and then that makes me want to buy their product and stuff. I mean, yours is something simple that, like, I after learning about it, I figured I could think of like a handful of jobs where I could have used it, and it would have saved me like a whole day's worth of work in
yeah,
the sun and stuff like that. So it's just, getting it out there and making people aware of, hey, there's this product that is out there and it's available, and guys can just ask for it.
exactly. Yeah, for sure. But in all fairness to the wholesalers, I mean, you know, they get asked for so many things. If they're quoting some big industrial project where, you got this huge equipment, they might sell that stuff once in their lifetime, some big, you know, piece of equipment or whatever. So, I mean, they just don't know. I mean, in all fairness, they don't know how to anticipate what is useful to your average HVAC contractor. It's just, it's a complicated business. There's a lot of different kinds of equipment, a lot of different applications, and they're there to get you what you want. They're not really there to anticipate what you want. And that's that chicken or the egg thing with where we are, is that, and the other thing too is, like you had mentioned yourself, you'll go in there and you'll ask for certain products. So you say you're aware of this product and you like it, they'll bring it in for you, just you.
Yeah.
They'll say, here's your box of stuff. You'll take that box of stuff, you'll like it, and then you'll go back and order more and more and more. It'll never occur to them to say, oh, maybe somebody else who walks in this branch also like to use this product. No, you'll be like, if it's a special contact cleaner or something like that, you'll be like the only person in that branch that has ever bought it. The manufacturer can tell that you're the only customer.
Yeah, that's happened to me plenty of times where I want it, or I looked up something and then I go and ask for it, and they're like, oh yeah, it's been on the shelf at the very top, it's collecting dust, but you're the only one that's asked for it. Or I'll be ordering like product and cleaners, stuff like that, and every now and then I'll walk in and I don't see it on the shelf, and I'm like, so are you ever gonna like stock it, or have to keep ordering it? And it's just more like the people that watch and listen to this, like, it really depends on a majority of the technicians that ask for it. So if you guys are interested in a product, or you really like something, the more of you that speak up, that's always a message that gets relayed to me by these companies that are like, we're trying to get into all these supply houses, but if more of you would just bring it up to your supply house, make them aware, the more that it gets asked for, the more likely they'll put it on the shelf. So That's always a big thing that I try to tell other technicians. It's like, just ask for it. If they see enough interest in it, they'll carry it.
Absolutely.
Because I'm big on truck stock. Like, I hate having to order stuff.
Yeah. Can't be avoided though. There's just, like I said, there's so much stuff, right? They can't carry one of everything. So
no, and then there's certain, I understand there's certain contracts or things that they're supposed to be pushing, and that's what gets put in the forefront. I understand that, but I'll still go in there and I'll bug them. And if not, I'll, look somewhere else. I don't have a problem doing that either.
we have a lot of like places that stock our product. Like we're not unknown, like I said, with that hot and cold thing. So there's a lot of places where you'll find our stuff hanging in the showroom area, and it's well known and lots of people know about it. But then, like I said, you go 100 miles in a different direction and no one's ever heard of us. So that's the challenge of a small company. Like if you're a Honeywell and you want to tell everybody about your new product, whether it costs you $5 million or $50 million, you don't care. You'll just spend the money and everyone will know about what you're doing. But when you're a little company, you don't have that kind of reach. So you will end up being hot and cold. And
when you decided to take that leap to do this company, like, was that, scary for you, knowing all that?
Well, it wasn't really that scary because, like I said, I was running my contracting business at the same time I was doing this, and the one kind of.
But there's always that leap that you have to take. Because I'm just thinking about my dad, like when he did his business, he got everything under control. I mean, like legally, business wise, while he still had his job, but like he was always scared to start. It's just always like people starting a business or starting something up. There's always like that little, I guess, fear.
Yeah, but that's one of the beauties of being in the trade zone. Like once you get that ticket, it's yours.
Yeah,
it's a demand. It's something people need and can't live without. So I mean, if things had blown up on me or us, I could have just went back to what I was doing. I'd just be a tradesman again. Like it wasn't like that's not so bad. I was doing good as a tradesperson too. It wasn't suffering. It was a good business. So yeah, I guess like that's the great thing about it is, being a tradesperson, I had a really good fallback position. I was going to land on my feet no matter what.
And I mean, I'm glad that you brought that up, because that's always something. Just doing this podcast and other, the stuff that I do on social media, like the trade awareness is also a thing that I would like to see more of, because I didn't know about, any of this when I grew up. And that's because my dad was an electrician himself, and then he got into the food service industry, and that's kind of where our business, that's what we do. We do commercial, like restaurants, the HVAC work and all that kind of stuff. And I always tell people, like, learn a skill or a skilled trade and you'll always have work. Like you said, you could fall back on it had anything gone wrong. Yeah. And skilled trades, I want more awareness for that.
Yeah, for sure.
That's a really good point.
And you, Ashton, you had nothing in the trades, right? You were just helping your dad out.
Yeah, so I actually have my business degree, which is kind of another kind of fallback. Like it's very general. I specialized in the marketing side, but I actually worked at Lululemon for a bit. I kind of did different things and just basically was like, hey, what kind of companies do I want to learn from? Who's doing a really good job? We talk about lifetime warranty again, and Lululemon's actually one that also does something similar, where they really stand behind their product. And I got to kind of go in with that company that was there for actually 5 years and learned a ton about, again, how they treat people, how they treat their customers, how they treat their products, how they develop, how they innovate. And I think when you have, a willingness to learn and to kind of, have a set of skills, whether it's trades or other things that you really want to apply and practice and see value in, you do have, a lot of different options. And so I think that's really nice to come into a new space and you have that confidence in yourself that, hey, you know what, there's risks. I'm not totally sure how this is going to go, but I have this skill set and I have these things that I can still, fall back on and move forward with. And so, it puts you in a really good place, which is lucky.
So you had a business degree, you did all that for marketing and stuff like that, and now you're doing that with your dad. Is there any other family members that are part of the company too, or it's just?
Well, my wife is Karen. She's a owner of the company, same as I am, same level. She's not here.
It's like my mom. She we have two. We have to run everything through her before anything gets approved.
Right.
The finance side, right? Isn't that so funny?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And my brother actually worked in the business for a bit too. So it just neat. We all kind of picked, different pieces of the puzzle that we wanted to tackle, kind of like yourself doing the branding. You're like, hey, I really love doing this, and then this is where I can kind of add in. So my brother worked kind of more on like, a tech side. And then that's kind of where my background led me to too, is kind of, the software and internal communications and that. So he worked on it in a little bit, and he's since kind of ventured on his own. So it's been really nice that we're able to kind of partner together, because we can work really closely, but then we can also expand our skill set and bring in different people as well. So we have about 20 people right now working for us. So we're still in that small business side, but
That's
varying
not bad.
skills. And no, exactly. Yeah. We have our tech support. We have our people that are helping build and test. And then there's, obviously myself more on the marketing side. And so it's actually a really nice mix of people that we have on the team.
And Ken, are you still hands-on with the stuff, or have you taken a back seat yet?
Well, I'm trying to. So
I'm trying to get my dad to do the same thing, but he's still up there trying to get on the rooftop with me and stuff.
yeah, I do whatever needs to be done. I'm not afraid of work and never have been, but I also want to give other people a chance too, right? So walking that fine line, I guess.
Yeah, we've been trying to get my dad to hang back too, and I don't know. It's something about being in the trades, because my grandfather was the same way. Like, he worked until he couldn't, like, physically, and my dad seems to be the same way. And it's kind of cool just being a family business, because there's a dynamic there, like you two, and my youngest brother works with us, and sometimes we all butt heads, but like we all bring something different. I do like working with my brother, because he's like OCD, and like he has this different kind of mindset where I'm always like, I might not be thinking clearly, or I'm rushing or something like that, and we kind of balance each other out.
Yeah.
And then like my dad doing something different, I offer this. Like there's a whole partnership there, and I can see that you're helping your dad run a business because you have that marketing background and stuff like that. And I really just love family businesses, and especially like local businesses.
Absolutely. No, it's a really lucky place to kind of be. And I think also too, like, who we serve as a customer is the contractors. And a lot of those guys are working on their own. They're like, one man shop, or they've got a couple of apprentices. Like, we really want to support the people that are kind of, venturing and taking that leap and kind of starting their own thing, because it's really rewarding to work kind of your own hours. And yeah, you might work longer hours, but then you also get the flexibility. And there's a lot of people in the trades that see the value of that. You're not necessarily stuck in this kind of 9-to-5 grind in an office space. You're dealing with people who want to work hands-on. They want to be in the elements. They want to, feel the sun as hot as it can be, but it is really that rewarding place to be in that kind of thing. And so that's obviously what we align with and have done, and also the people that we serve too. So it's really nice to have, that connection to who we're selling to too.
That's a good point. I was actually going to ask about that, because like when you started the business, Ken, like, did you, I understand, like, when you start, you're hustling, you want to get your stuff out there, your name, your brand, get business and stuff like that. But like, there is like a sense of relief, or like a better, like you're not tied to a 9-to-5. You're not tied to, a business that you have to work for, but you do your own thing. Like, there's a stress level with it, but I think I think it is worth it. I've tried to explain that to people, because people will ask me specifically for like an HVAC company, but like starting their own business. I know it's not for everybody, but like, there is a sense of like, being on your own and accomplishing that, and the feeling you get when you finally are on your own.
Right. Well, I mean, I guess I've gone down a path that lots of other people went down before me, and the classic self-employed tradesperson or guy who builds his company up to a few employees and a few more and a few more, and some guys just go all the way to 100 employees, eventually. So it's all over the map. The field is so big. It's so diverse. There's all these different levels of success that you see. And yeah, it's very interesting. But yeah, as far as should a person do it or not, I would say, like I said, if it doesn't work out, you can go back to where you were, I suppose.
You can just find a job. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
because I've told people everybody's success is different. So like
Hmm.
we have a small business. We're like 4 guys right now, and we make a lot more money than we did when we had more people, but we didn't know how to keep the quality control and stuff like that. And then, we're doing really good as a 4 to 5 man business, but like there's other companies or the other people that start small and expand as much as they want, have 100 employees, and they're making, they're doing really well. But everybody's success is different. And as far as like running your own business, you don't know unless you try. And if you're in the trades, you made a good point. You can always fall back on it, on your skill, because
Mhm.
that's something that can't be taken away.
Exactly.
So just to kind of close out, we're almost at an hour, but how many different models of the FastStat do you currently have?
Yeah, so there's 6 models. So 2 of those are the air conditioner heat pump, like we talked about. One of them is just for Wi-Fi stats. So that leaves 3 models that are just like general purpose. Like, do I just want to add 1 wire? Do I need to add 3 wires? Do I need more than that? So it's about those 3 are about, obviously the less it does, the less it costs,
Yeah.
So I mean, some like you can go. I mean, again, you can go to wholesalers or you can go online to like Supply House. And some of these models, they start at $30,
Oh, that was gonna be my next question. Okay,
30
that's
bucks.
not bad.
No. And that's the thing too, is like one of the big things too with products like this too, is when you're scheduling installations and, you've got a homeowner or customer who's staying home to meet somebody. And then all of a sudden they call them up and say, well, crew's not going to get there because they spent too much time on the previous job because they had a problem with the wiring. What these products do is they do help keep crews on schedule. So what you can do with this is you can say, I'm going to put 20 minutes aside for wiring on this job. Okay. I got this much time to rip out the old thing, this much time to spot the new condenser, this much time for a coil, whatever. And I'm going to put down 20 minutes for my wiring, and that's it. And no matter what, it's going to be 20 minutes plus the cost of the FastStat. So what it does is it adds a lot of predictability to your jobs. You don't
Yeah.
have, and no one's crawling through an attic when it's 150 degrees. No one's, coming out tarred and feathered in installation. Nobody's going through a crawl space with who knows what else is down there, right? You're just 20 minutes or less and you're done. And you just, so it has a lot of predictability to the jobs. And also too, when there's all these labor shortages, it's kind of like almost buying help in a sense too, because you've cut the number of hours you need down on that job. So now you can get more jobs done with less people. So you've added predictability and you've cut hours. So those are the 2 things that you need in contracting. You need predictability, and anything that cuts hours makes money. And even if you had the money to pay for it, sometimes you can't even buy the people or buy the hours because of the labor shortages, right? So
Yeah, you might not have the help to begin with.
like,
Yeah, I love predictability, and I work in commercial refrigeration. I understand it. I get like emergency calls, like that stuff is what throws me off. But like on my normal days, and I get a call or whatever, I have something scheduled. I'm the kind of person that does that in my head. Like I have this much time to do this. I have this much time to do that. So that's just an added benefit there. If you can actually just say, I gotta do this with the wiring, it's just going to take me this amount of time, like you said, 20 minutes or less, because I am always thinking about like I got to get to my next call, I got to get to this. So like with anything, with any tool, because I'm also at an age, I've been doing this for 17 years, where if it helps me do my job easier or quicker, more efficient, I'm willing to try it out. I'm into it. You got my attention. Whereas like some people are like, oh, they want to do it the old school way or the hard way. I was like, no, I like once you've been doing it for so long, you don't miss those days of being, like you said, in an attic or on a rooftop, for hours on end, when you can just kind of plop this in,
get it done.
and get it done quicker. You're on to the next call. It's I mean, I take my time doing my work too, but like it is about like what's the next step, what's this, what's that. So like you said, if you can allot just 20 minutes to it or less, great. It's an option. I always tell people it's always good to have another tool in your arsenal. I mean, that's what it is. If you need it, it's available.
Yep.
If you guys are working together, do you guys ever butt heads or anything like that? Because I know I mentioned mine.
Who would ever do that?
No, I don't want to start anything.
So
I think, yeah, as a family, you know each other so well. Like, you know how to push buttons, but you also know how to give each other space, right? And we wouldn't be choosing to work together if the dynamic wasn't there. So I think we work together and have chosen this path for the same reason. Probably like you have with your family, it works, but you're working for the same kind of goals. You guys have the same kind of North Star. So it really actually aligns you. As much as there's friction, you're still working with that same North Star in mind.
Yeah, I love that. I have two brothers. So the middle one came to work for us for like a day and then he quit. I mean, it wasn't for him. And we still love him. He tried. My youngest brother took a liking to it. So, I mean, it's been fun. It's me and my brother that do the HVAC, and it's my dad and his brother that do the hot side, the cooking equipment. So it's a nice dynamic there.
It's very
interesting.
Cool.
It's interesting at times, but yeah.
Exactly. No, you totally get it.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. I don't know if you guys don't have anything else, I guess we can sign off.
All right.
No, sounds great. Thanks so much for having us.
I appreciate you guys for making the time, and it was a fun conversation.
Okay, see ya.
And anybody watching or listening, I appreciate you guys for tuning in, and we'll see you on the next one.